How much more work could you get done if you were able to work like a machine all day without feeling tired or distracted? How much more money would you make with your business if you didn't feel tired and unproductive after 2 p.m.? Well, what if I told you that there's a strategy you can use to maintain peak performance for the entire day without crashing in the afternoon? In fact, it's a strategy that hundreds of millionaire super productive CEOs have been using to gain a competitive edge and be able to outwork, outthink, and outsell everyone else. The craziest part is that any entrepreneur or high performer can leverage this same strategy to completely eliminate midday focus crashes and maintain peak mental performance for the entire workday, and without having to take more stimulants, expensive supplements, or gimmicky biohacks. So in this video, I'll show you step by step how we implemented this strategy with an entrepreneur to help him maximize his mental performance and take his productivity to the next level so that he can make better decisions, lead his team better, and scale his company in less time.
That's not the issue, actually. The issue is that after 4 or 5 p.m., like the focus just drops a lot to the point where I'm not able to work on projects that would actually move the needle forward. Does that make sense? But I'd love, for example, to have a full day where I can do that on like multiple occasions on a week. I can do it for one day, of course, just pushing through. But if it's possible to like stretch it even more, and if it requires me to get the remaining REM sleep, then it makes sense. Then of course that's the area to set in on.
Okay, so what I want you to do is, can you walk me? So let's say in the form here, when you booked the call, which was like a few days ago or yesterday, you said here that one of the issues is focus and motivation after 4 to 5 p.m., which is the same thing that you're telling me now. So I want you to paint me the picture of, let's say, last 7 days, what you're doing, starting work in terms of like according to Dilla's system, what are you working on, so that we can map out what exactly happens when it's 4 or 5. For example, you can share your screen, open your calendar, and we can walk through that visually.
That's a good idea. All right. Can you see? All right. So let's just take Monday as the first one. So first work block, I just did status updates for clients. Then I had 2 meetings, one with a client, and then one team call, lunch, then 2 calls. Yes. Yeah. That's a good thing about the office. Lunch is very, very close by. So 2 calls after that. And then the second work block here, like this, launched a new funnel for the agency and did some client work. Then I had a call, and then work block here. But as you can see, this is just for you to see. So this was just like I had an hour blocked, but it was only really a respond to a client and get back to you. That was kind of on the to-do, which it doesn't make sense. Love to do something meaningful here. The same thing kind of happened here, for example. New VSL for the first 2 work blocks. Then I had a short call here. And then from work block 3, script new ad, but I kind of completed that in the first 2 work blocks as well. So from 2 to 5:30, I had very small tasks. Like it would be admin tasks, something that takes 10, 15 minutes to complete, and then it's on to the next one. And there's only so many that I can complete or that I have to do before I kind of end up in a situation where, okay, now I have to brainstorm what I need to do, which is what I began to do in this work. I was like, okay, instead of me just sitting here and not knowing what to work on, let me see if I can plan some bigger projects, which is, I think that's one of the things as well that I have to get better at, because I didn't really have anything from basically 3.
Okay, so that paints a picture to me perfect. I will show you exactly how that looks like visually, so that we can actually make sense of everything. Let me just open something here in Google and walk through. So the first and most important thing that we have to understand, Marcus, is that I would love my body to be like my brain to be performing at 100% full, all cylinders every single hour of the day. But unfortunately, we fire on chemicals and hormones and clocks. Every single hormone, every single chemical that makes us feel energized or sleepy has a 24-hour clock. Okay, so it looks something like this. when you wake up, high cortisol, and especially when you do the daily system properly, you will spike cortisol, which is awesome. This will set up everything else in motion. But as the day progresses and progresses and progresses, you will naturally, especially like say 5 midday here, you see that cortisol starts to get lower and lower and lower, right? And the same thing as here, you have all those different hormones. Let's see, right? You have alertness, which is this, and it kind of takes a dip, right? It slowly takes a dip around here that we're talking about. So that's number one thing that it's non-negotiable. We can change that. How do we can change that? By taking stimulants, which is not the best idea to take after 4, 5, 6. So how do we actually, this is the first thing that I want you to keep in mind. The next thing is being properly prepared. Because if you're telling me that 4 or 5 p.m. comes around and you're like brainstorming what to do, that shows me that you're not prepared. And when you're not prepared, it's easy for your brain to find your brain is trying, it's optimizing to survive at all times of the day. So if you have two doors, door number one is quick wins, reply messages, open Slack, Stripe, like whatever is the easiest. And option 2 is sit down and spend more calories to think about what to do. Well, if your brain is trying to optimize for survival, you're wired to do number 1 all times. But if you have a set thing, like a set list of things to do already, everything is prepped, you know exactly what to do, you know how to attack, then it's easier to pick between the two and do the thing that moves the needle forward the most. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That's also what I thought. Because I know for a fact, like if it comes to that time and I don't have anything prepared, it also means that there is nothing that I found that needs to be done right now that is also meaningful, where I feel like I'm progressing and moving the needle forward. And when I'm in that state, I also know whatever I do now is not really going to move the needle forward. So that also doesn't increase motivation, I was about to say.
Yeah, and so how the best course of action from here is you have you told me you have Asana, right? Like instead of Todoist or something similar.
Yeah, Asana, yeah.
Monday, yeah, Asana. So you can perform a brain dump every evening before you leave the office, categorize everything, but keep in mind that your baseline of task accomplishment right now is through the roof.
Okay.
Right? So I think you're underestimating the amount of stuff you can accomplish. Usually it's a good practice to focus on a few things like Sam Ovens, the 3 to 5 tasks of the day that I need to get done, not overload my to-do list. But if you're telling me that consistently you're getting everything done and you're like trying to find new things to do, then you're comparing your baseline to before where like your task accomplishment was like lower. So now the engine has gotten more powerful. We might as well upgrade the road or something, right? So in your evening brain dump in Asana, just make sure that it's appropriately prepared for the next day's 4 to 5 p.m. work block so that you have things to attack. Because if the moment comes and you're not prepared, it consumes a lot of calories, dude. Thinking about what to do consumes calories, and your brain doesn't want to consume calories, especially when it's like half the day is gone. Or more than half the day is gone.
Makes sense.
We'll get back to the video in a second, but if you find yourself getting distracted often, lacking focus or lacking motivation, and you feel like you're not performing at your maximum potential, then I can probably help you in the exact same way I've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs, including people like Jordan Platten, Thomas Gannett, Matt Shields, or Nathan Nazareth. We'll use a data-driven peak performance protocol to help you maximize your mental performance, work output, and productivity so you can operate at your peak capacity every single day consistently. I can give you a free performance assessment call where we'll structure this protocol and see if we're a good fit to work together. If that's interesting, there's a link in the description for you to book a call. So pause the video, do that, and then back to the video. And also another thing to keep in mind is that it wouldn't be like biologically, it wouldn't necessarily make the most sense to perform like very high like creativity strategy thinking at that hour. What I would do instead is I would not do any admin like status updates, replying to clients, replying to manusas early in the day, and I will leave all those tasks that don't require a lot of brain power in those last work blocks so that you have something to fill them in. And instead, you can do what you would otherwise want to do at like 5 to 6 p.m. earlier so that you can have more clarity and more sharpness.
I think that's a good idea.
How do you think? What do you think? How do you feel about that idea?
Yeah, I think that's actually a good idea. Just push email. Of course, if there's anything urgent, I need to get back to do that, but just push all of those admin stuff to the end of the day. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how you operate, like your team culture and everything, like your
Yeah.
status updates. I'm not sure if you need to do that first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
But I would see how. Okay, so what are the tasks that don't really like they're brain rot tasks that just can click
Yeah.
on things and don't really think about it. And I would
Yeah.
try to batch as many of those tasks as possible later in the day, in that 4 to
Yeah.
5 p.m. work block,
Yeah.
and replace the earlier, like the slots that are missing now, with what you would otherwise do that you feel like it moves the needle forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it makes
Yeah.
more
Yeah. Makes sense.
like in terms of your circadian rhythm, it makes more sense to do that earlier when all the chemicals are all in place for you to do that. You know?
Yeah. True. Makes sense. Yeah. I'll do that. I think that's a good idea. Didn't really think about that before, actually.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're talking together.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. So now, the other thing that you talked about is so that's focus, right?
Yeah.
What about you said also motivation though after 4 to 5 p.m. What's the issue with motivation?
I don't know even if motivation is the right word, but I think it comes in hand with the type of tasks that are usually at that period of time. Like they don't feel motivating to do because I know they don't move anything forward. Um, so I think it's not because I'm not motivated. It's just the motivation to do the tasks is just that much lower. Like I don't want to start a whole new big project at 5 p.m. if I just came up with the project. Like it kind of feels like, hey, now I tried to find a big project and it will take me 5, 6 hours. Am I actually sure this is a good thing to do? And then next morning when I meet at the office here, I'm like, I'm glad I don't have to work on that today.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will show you something here which makes a lot of sense if I can find that.
But something you said
Yeah.
something before, like doing the brain dump at the end of the day. I've actually always done the brain dump at the beginning of the day. But I'll try to do it at the end because then I might be more prepared for the next day instead of coming to the office and then preparing
Yeah,
a little bit.
exactly.
Yeah.
You plan the work and then work the plan.
Yeah.
So when you actually schedule time for thinking, this is a tip that I got from one of my clients. When you actually schedule time in your day for thinking and brainstorming, then instead of trying to do it right now in a rush to start getting to work, this is the time which is only going to be spent towards that, and you think at things more objectively instead of like
Yeah.
trying to so you zoom out of the picture and you see what needs to get done, like what is considered deep work, what is top priority, what can wait,
Yeah.
etc. Right?
Yeah. That's good.
And so another thing that I wanted to show you is, which comes to motivation and how much you want to work, is willpower. And that's why planning is super, super important. You might say, planning, I know that already, but like it's super important. Because morning, you're the machine. You've done your work, super easy to go to the gym, super easy to not like say no to distractions, super easy to stay fasted, don't drink caffeine if you don't have to. Afternoon, like you spend every time you say no or you use that no-go muscle, you use a little bit of willpower.
Yeah.
Now, depending on how strong that willpower muscle is, this battery can be double-sized, etc. But every time you perform a task, stay sharp on your call, say no to distractions, a bit of that battery is drained. And when you're here, 5 p.m., and you're trying to spend this much willpower to think of high leverage things to do and then execute the plan as well,
Yeah.
like you're working towards your nature in a way, if that makes sense. So what you can do is be prepared already so that you spend half the willpower to just execute instead of trying to plan and execute at the same time. Because what you need is super clear directions on what to do. Here, you can strategize, you can come up with things, you can allow You can essentially, what is it called? You can afford to do that here, but
Yeah,
here it's way, way more difficult. Does that make
true.
sense? So
Yeah, that's true.
also you might have heard of decision fatigue.
Yeah,
Why top CEOs wear like the same stuff every day or use the same things at the same time? Like it's because of decision fatigue. The less
yeah,
decision you have to make in a day, the more energy and mental power, mental bandwidth you have to actually execute.
yeah.
Okay.
But it makes a huge like it makes a lot of sense to do the planning in the evening for the next day instead of it's not because I didn't plan for the next day, but I never did like a brain dump at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good. I always used to do that the first thing when I sat down to begin work, just dump out all of my thoughts. But it makes more sense to do it at the end of the day because then I have time to plan if there's something that needs to get done the next day.
What I do is I have a Google Doc, which I
Yeah,
call like work dump, brain dump. And then I type out all the things that I think I need to do, like questions and everything that I think about. And then if
yeah,
something out of this needs to be done tomorrow, I take it from the Google Doc and I actually schedule it and actually put it in the to do. So I
yeah.
think that's something that you could explore as well, starting today.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
whatever
whatever it
works,
is.
whatever works. Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
works. Don't have to complicate it.
Okay,
Right?
perfect. Yeah, I'll try and do that from today on.
If you take the tools I gave you in this video and actually implement them, you'll start waking up with more energy, you'll stop crashing midday, and you'll finally feel like you're in control of your performance. You'll get more done in less time with less effort. But here's the catch. Even though those tools work, they're still surface level tools. They don't solve the root cause of why most entrepreneurs feel tired and foggy and are underperforming, even when they're doing all the right things. You might be eating clean, sleeping 8 hours, trying every supplement you see online, but at the end of the day, you're still not operating at your 100%. And I know that feeling because I've been there and done that too. That's exactly why I built the Pure Focus Protocol. It's a personalized system I've used to help hundreds of high-level entrepreneurs like Jordan Platten, Thomas Gannett, Matt Shields, and Nathan Nazareth unlock a new level of performance that lets them work less and make more and still have energy left over at the end of the day. If that's interesting to you, then click the link in the description of this video where I'll walk you through exactly how the Pure Focus Protocol works and how we'll use it to help you find the real cause behind your fatigue, brain fog, or low motivation, fix your sleep, recovery, and energy systems using data-driven tools, create a personalized plan for how to eat, train, and recover for your body, structure your work schedule to match your neurobiology so you get more done in less time, and build a daily routine that lets you stay sharp, motivated, and consistent without burning out. If that sounds interesting at all, then click the link below. You'll go to a page where I break down the exact 3-step protocol, what we do, how it works, and what to expect. So click the link now, and I'll see you on the inside.